Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Saturday on Wellness Lane. We as a family have been battling the flu, Christmas parties, all that, so we've been kind of crazy. Had to get one out tonight. We've got a big day tomorrow in bowl games. You have two SEC bowl games tomorrow. You have Missouri that is playing. You've got LSU that is playing. But next week, leading up to the second round of the playoffs, you have Tennessee and Vandy and Texas. And then after, on January 2nd, you've got Mississippi State, which Cody, someone who watches the podcast and really enjoys it, got a cowbell, Mississippi State cowbell for Christmas.
So I learned two things. Well, really one thing. They don't like to be called Mississippi State. They like to be called State.
State.
Just State. And the cowbell is from the university. It was shipped from the store there. And let me tell you, thing will ring and will be loud. Expect to see it soon on the podcast and probably the rest of the podcast.
And we would love not artifacts, that's a bad word. We would love memorabilia or things from every SEC team. So if you're out there and you've got something that you just want to give away and send our way, we'd love it. We'd love to put it up and decorate and everything like that. SEC, because that's what we're going to do. So before we get started on just we're just going to skim the surface of these games, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. There's 6 games, I think, total. But if you look at all of these games, they are favoring the SEC team. And every game, SEC is favored. Now, you can sit here and you can say that is a compliment to the SEC and just how dominant that conference is. But what we know as being an SEC fan is SEC does not do well in bowl games.
Historically, normally they don't. But, with a lot of those opt-outs now, a lot of people looking at the transfer portal, guys that have already put their names out, guys that are just going to just say, hey, I'm going to take this off. Seniors, I'm not going to play in this bowl. They really look at that, but with that, it comes depth. And they think the SEC schools probably have more depth and are able to take some of those hits than some of these other schools. And all the schools are having that issue that aren't in the college football playoffs. A lot of those schools are going to have those issues. And I think that's where a lot of it starts, because they have a lot of depth in pretty much all of those in a lot of positions.
So we look at this and right now the SEC is 2-2 in bowls. All of this is through the playoffs, right? Alabama beats Oklahoma. Texas A&M loses to Miami. You have Ole Miss that won. So all of this is for the playoffs. So this is the first time that we're going to see SEC play in bowl games outside of the college football playoffs. and one of those games, it was bound for an SEC team to lose. I wasn't happy to see A&M drop to Miami. It was kind of a boring game to right there at the end anyways. Of course, watching Greg McElroy, he said that it was 30-mile-per-hour winds. If I'm not mistaken, Greg was the one who was calling the game.
Yes.
So he was there. He said that was like the 12th man on the field, the wind, for both teams. It was really, really bad.
It was affecting both teams. And if you watch the game, kickers, like guys who have been perfect pretty much all year, hadn't missed since game 1.
Yeah.
For Miami, he missed 3, I believe, 2 or 3. In the game, and one of them was a 34-yard chip shot that would, make it sleep. So I definitely think that win hurts. Now Texas A&M, they've been flip-flopping back and forth between the two kickers. Whoever they feel has the most confidence going into that day is kind of what they've rolled with, and so yeah, I think that definitely had a lot of effect to do with it.
So let's get into these games. We do have 2 tomorrow. So when we post this, it's Friday night. So we have 2 tomorrow. The first one we're going to look at is the 9:15 game. It's that LSU-Houston game. LSU is favored in this game by 1.5. Now, Houston has lost to Texas Tech. They lost to BYU. Who was the other loss that they had? There's 3 of them. Let me pull it up here. we don't have Tyler, who's got quick fingers to do this. They lost to Texas Tech. They beat Arizona State. They lost to West Virginia. That's that other one. So they lost to TCU, West Virginia, and to Texas Tech. So I can understand why LSU is favored in this game, but LSU is not going to be playing Garrett Nussmeier.
That could help.
Garrett has not been the same player as he's been last year, what we saw. So you've got this freshman QB who
are they going with a freshman?
I believe it's the freshman. Don't quote me on that now. Now you've got me second guessing.
If it's the transfer from Mississippi State, he's a junior.
Okay. Is that the guy that came in?
Michael Van Buren?
Is that the guy that came in? Okay. So Michael should be the one who is starting this game. Lane Kiffin will be at the game. I don't know if he'll be on the sideline, but he will definitely be at this game. It will be interesting to see what his take is at the end of the game.
Yeah, and I think a lot goes in there. I made the comment earlier today. I was like, man, Coach Kiffin had pretty much all of bowl practice to be there and to be a part, and he could have probably put in at least a small package for this offense. Not that I think he did, but I think he was there in time to do all of that. I mean, he had plenty of time. I think they only get a limited number of practices for bowl games. So I think it's 12. I think they get 12 practices. So don't quote me on that, but I think that's about right. And he was there, I think, for all of it. Could have been there for all of them. So we'll see. It'd be interesting to see if they try to implement any of his style of offense.
So Houston is they want to be able to throw the football. Mm-hmm. They're going up against a very, very good defense at LSU. Cody, I look at this game, and I know Houston likes to put up a lot of numbers. I don't see them being able to. I think it's a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I do too. I think if you think 31-27 is a low-scoring game, I think that's probably about what we're looking at. I think LSU is going to be able to run the ball, control the clock, and hit some of those plays. They've got some of those really explosive receivers that can hit those plays. Van Buren is really good outside the pocket and running the ball, which is why I'm kind of surprised they didn't go to him earlier. He had a really good season last year at Mississippi State, or if we just say it right, at State. And so I was kind of surprised that he did leave, especially in that offense with a really good offensive-minded coach. But I think he can do it. If he can just avoid the turnovers and sustain the drives, I think that's really key. But for the defense for LSU, the key is not allowing those explosive plays. Because that's what Houston lived on. Just doing some research, that's what Houston has lived on. Up-tempo offense and explosive plays. And so if they can handle that, they'll be good.
Now the total of this, the total that you gave was a lot higher than the total that's expecting. It's 41.5 points.
Yeah, that's a little higher than what I would have said.
Yeah. So like I said, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, like a 13-10 game.
With what we've seen, we were watching a game. I was watching a game a little bit ago, Minnesota game. And it was 14-14, I think, last I checked. Those could be close to that. Yeah, you're probably right.
So let me tell you, speaking of Minnesota, because of CJ, I'm a huge Minnesota fan. I love their coach.
Yeah.
And I think anybody in the country would be happy
TJ Fleck
to have him row the boat. Just a team player. And I know I'm going off on a rabbit trail, but that coach is great. I'm surprised. I know he was mentioned in some of the talks for coaches. Just no one was able to pick him up. Very loyal to the college there in Minnesota. But would love to see him at a school being able to compete in what he's able to do there.
Right.
So the next game that is tomorrow is the 7:30 game on ABC. It's Missouri versus Virginia. Now remember, Virginia last time we saw them, they were getting beat by Duke in the ACC championship game. It's kind of an embarrassing game if you ask me. Duke being a 7-5 team. Virginia, who was right there, if they win, they're in the college football playoffs. Now that they've lost, they're playing in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. against Missouri. Do we expect Bo Pabula to be playing in this game?
From all accounts, it sounds like he's leaving.
Wow.
I've seen a lot of reports that he might be transferring out. Like if you scroll through TikTok and watch, I've been watching a lot of them today. A lot of the predictions of players in the transfer portal, and his name is on every single one of them. I've not heard anything official.
Yeah, nothing has been announced on that. That would be surprising because then you go to that freshman QB who isn't as accurate, who's had trouble finding the wide open receiver just in that 10 yards. So it could hurt this game. But Missouri has a pretty good defense. Virginia has struggled being able to protect the run. And what does Missouri like to do?
They love to run the ball, and if Missouri can handle on both sides of the ball, if they can control the line of scrimmage, they'll win this game. I feel like. I think that Virginia's would like to try to bounce back, but such a long layoff. If it was the next week or something, something closer to that game, it would be a bit easier to bounce back quicker. But there's a pretty long layoff, and it kind of wears off. So I don't think they're going to be up for this game as much as they were if it would have been closer.
So Missouri is favored to win in this game by 4 points. It's weird to see just an even 4 in the spread.
Yeah.
But they are favored to win this by 4 points. I'm guessing because it's a Gator Bowl. Is that in Florida?
Yes.
So a little bit hotter. Here in North Georgia, guys, it's blazing for this time of year. I think tomorrow the high is like 74 degrees.
74, 72, 74, somewhere around in there. Low to mid 70s. Same on Sunday, and then on Monday it drops back. The high is 54.
And then Tuesday it's like 39.
Yeah.
So, guys, take care of yourselves because this is how you catch the flu. So that's good. So we have Missouri, Virginia, LSU, Houston. That's tomorrow. Tuesday, I'm excited about this game. It's a 5:30 game on ESPN. It's Tennessee and Illinois. Tennessee and Illinois. Both are 8-4. They expect this game. The total points for this is 61.5. Tennessee is favored at 2.5 points as of right now. Now, this is an Illinois team that dropped a game to Indiana like 60.
Yeah.
It was bad. I think Indiana is not a team that can try to match you point for point.
Right.
They can score, don't get me wrong, but to play from behind, they're not very good. So, Cody, what do you see in this game? Joey Aguilar.
I assume he'll play. I mean, he's got some things to prove if he wants to continue his football career. I do think that. One thing I think is key, Illinois, their linebackers, everything that I've read, they're a step or two slower than the normal linebackers that he's been seeing. They're kind of the run stoppers in the middle than the side to side. So I think if Tennessee can get Joey outside of the tackle box, use his mobility that we know he can do and extend plays, I think Tennessee handles this probably by 14. I think that's, if they continue with their fast starts and build a sizable lead, I don't think Illinois has the power, the quick explosive plays, the power to get back into a game. Now they could probably work their way. I just don't think they can get back to winning the game.
Now, if you are an SEC fan, you would recognize the coach of Illinois, who was a coach at Arkansas. His name is Brett Bielema. He has the line of, after he won a big game, he talks about going home and porking his wife. That's one of the top watched videos of a coaching conference ever, just because he reminds me, when just looking at him, he reminds me of the catcher from Angels in the Outfield.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So if you are a SEC fan, you remember the coach of Illinois, like I said, one of the greatest sound bites in coaching history. Of course, him and Mike Leach was just great for sound bites. There was always a open mic around them just because they had such a good one. Now, New Year's Eve. We do have a game on New Year's Eve, which is round 2 of the playoffs, which is Ohio State and Miami. Stick around because Monday we will cover that game as well as an SEC second round playoff game. So we'll do 2 Monday, do 2 on Tuesday. That way it gets us right into the college football playoffs. But for New Year's Eve, we have 2, and both of these could arguably made a point to be in the college football playoffs. Texas, who I was very aggressive in my criticisms to them most of the year, just because of the expectations was just not there. You had a quarterback who was expected to be a runner, well, almost a shoo-in for the Heisman because of his last name. You had a defense that should have been better than anybody in the country, and you just underperformed most of the year. You lost to Ohio State in the beginning. You lose to Florida in the middle, which may have turned that season around. You lose to Georgia, kind of expected. You had to go to Georgia to play. But you have Texas. They face a Michigan team who is kind of in turmoil with the loss of their coach. We won't get into the graphic details there, but they've lost their coach. Players are transferring out. They did just hire a coach today. I don't know about the hire. I'm not a big fan of it.
Honestly, I mean, look at his track record, especially at Utah in the last 5 years and what he's done. He's normally right there in the top 15
yearly. But you're not playing in the Big Ten.
You're not, but you do play some really good football teams out there. I mean, you got to play Oregon. You got to play USC. I mean, you're playing some bigger schools.
Well, Oregon is in the Big Ten now.
Okay, well, you're usually playing those schools.
USC is also in the Big Ten.
Like I said, you're usually playing those schools.
So,
if it wasn't for the loss, I think the loss won to who did it lose to?
Which one?
BYU. They lost to BYU and it kind of put them out. They were in the top 10 at one point this year, and and Kyle Whittingham, that's what we're talking about. He retired. That's what he was doing. He was retiring, and this was like a month ago. He retired like a month ago or so, and he was going to coach in their bowl game. He was going to coach in Utah's bowl game. Now I don't think that's going to happen, which kind of stinks for the Utah guys because, I mean, the guy was retiring. That's what he wanted to do, and then I guess they got back into bowl practice and kind of got the itch and wanted to continue to coach.
Well, just
put his name in there. Threw his name in the hat.
Think about what that does for you as kind of your ego, though.
Yep.
Like, I could win there. So,
66 years old, been coaching for a long time. I think, unlike Taylor, I think he's a good coach. I don't think we've really seen what he can do. He is at Utah. It's kind of harder to recruit there. I think if he can go in, and his biggest hurdle is going to keep being able to keep his freshman quarterback.
So, what it does is it brings structure to Michigan, which Michigan has not had. Jim Harbaugh did not have structure. Say what you want. I mean, it was. Anyway, you go and talk to the players. There wasn't huge structure. This guy will.
Yeah.
Which we saw this at Alabama. Given when Alabama got that longer leash instead of that short leash, some of them kind of bucked the system, and it was hard for them to adjust. I wonder if that will have any effect, kind of just a reverse. They're going to try to buck the system just because they've had that longer leash. It'll be interesting. Not what we're talking about. We're talking about Texas and Michigan. The spread for this game is actually at 8.5, which is a pretty large spread for this game. You have Michigan who lost to Ohio State. They lost to Oklahoma. They had a loss there that shouldn't have been a loss. But anywho, they played Texas, who also has a loss that shouldn't have been a loss with Florida. How do you see this game? I don't think Michigan's defense is as strong as what Texas has been playing.
Right.
Which is great for Texas. They don't have much. The pass rush is not there, giving Manning some time. Now we've talked about the offensive line for Texas kind of being a weak spot for Texas, but if you can mix in that run game and maybe put up 100 yards, I think you have to say that Manning may have a really good game here.
They're going to have to be able to throw the ball because as of this afternoon, Texas has 4 scholarship running backs that are entering the transfer portal. I don't know if any of the 4 are even going to play tomorrow or this week, whenever they play. So that could be an issue. 4 of their guys have entered the transfer portal, so that's going to be huge. It's one of those things I'm talking about, like depth and giving that. But I think their receivers and their versatility and being able to do different things is going to cause Michigan some issues.
So I know that we've heard rumors of Steve Sarkisian possibly finding an NFL job. Could there be something stirring in the locker room there that's causing these running backs to leave? Because, I mean, wouldn't you want to play behind a Manning who should open up the run game just in fear of him being able to pass the ball downfield?
I mean, you would think so. And I'm working to pull up their game here. Hold on, but you would think so. Maybe, and I don't even know if they're bringing in some running backs to the like transfer portal, or if they plan on it, or if it's recruiting. If they recruited some big guys, and these guys are kind of expected to get pushed down the things.
Or is it the fact that you are playing with a Manning and you're not getting as many carries?
Maybe, and a lot of these guys, I'm not sure they got a whole lot of playing time this year. I want to say C.J. Baxter might be one of them. I think he's one of their top backs. Q Wisner is one I do remember. James Simmons is one. He's a freshman. And I want to say Stewart was the other one. He's also a freshman. So 2 freshmen, a junior, and 2 juniors transferring out, possibly, if I'm remembering correctly on which ones the 4 that I've seen. But I did see there was 4 leaving out today, and so if they play, it could be good. But I think, like I said, Texas's offense is just a little too dynamic and explosive for Michigan to be able to slow down. Now they'll bring some pressure and try to confuse Manning. Michigan's defensive coordinator is incredible. I remember watching.
He'll be coaching this. He'll be the head coach.
No. The offensive line coach
is the one
who's doing it. So he's got some head coaching experience. So that'll be interesting there.
So to move over, the second game that is on New Year's Eve is Vanderbilt. Now Vanderbilt also had a good argument. Their only 2 losses of the season came from Texas and Alabama. So a very good year. You have the runner-up Heisman Trophy winner in not Bo Pabula, but Diego Pavia, and had a very good year, the best year for Vanderbilt in school history. They go up against Iowa, who is 8-4. Vandy is at 5.5 point spread here. They have the line low. They have it at 47.5. Vanderbilt will score.
I'm not sure how much they will score. Obviously, I think they may score 3 points, but or maybe a few more. But I'm not sure. Iowa had a kind of a surprising year. I didn't expect a ton out of Iowa this year. I'm just not. It was kind of a bounce back year after last year. I don't think they had a great year last year, but they had for them a pretty successful year. Iowa is a little bit better than I think guys are guessing. This might be one of the SEC games that I could see the SEC losing. This might be the first one.
Really?
This might be the first one I think we could see losing.
Does the Pavia hype kind of get to them?
I think so. I think that has some effect to it.
Because remember, the last time we saw Vanderbilt, they were steamrolling Tennessee.
Yeah, but Tennessee's defense had struggled their last couple of games, and I do think I think they're going to get a little healthier, Tennessee, but I think Vandy is going. I think they struggle in this game, and if they win, I think it's going to be really close. But I definitely could see Iowa pulling this one out. They'll play the field position, and they'll capitalize inside the red zone. and if they can make a mistake, Diego make a mistake or two, then I could see this game getting out of hand possibly.
Well, Thursday, of course, New Year's Day, you will see Alabama versus Indiana. You also have Georgia versus Ole Miss. So at least one SEC team will lose next Thursday. But then you have the final SEC game already. I would expect Georgia to beat Ole Miss and then go on to play either an Ohio State or Miami team. So at least I think we're going to at least have one more, if not two more, possibly three more games for SEC play. But on Friday, January the 2nd, we have Mississippi State versus Wake Forest. Mississippi State is favored by this game by 3.5 points. I know you've got me.
Well, hey, we're going to catch it though. We're going to do it right, so State fans will start listening.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know how many of them there are out there, but State, we were high on State this year. They didn't finish as well as we'd hoped. They went 5-7,
but they played well.
They did. They got their first SEC win.
Got those hurdles, knocked some things out.
They took Tennessee into overtime. They made Texas sweat. So really, really good games. Just couldn't get over the hump. Now, inexperienced, young team still. So we still have a lot of expectations for them, but they go and they play a Wake Forest team, who I understand is 8-4. But there's a reason Mississippi State's favored by 3.5 points in this game. Wake Forest, in the conference, they play weaker opponents. Mississippi State, I believe, I haven't heard of anybody who is sitting out this game, so they're at full steam ahead.
Yeah.
So it will be. I think it's Mississippi State's game. Cody, do you know? Have you heard anything else on that?
No, I think as far as I can tell, State has everybody playing, and I think that's key. They're one of these teams that you don't want to play in a playoff game, or not a playoff, but a bowl game, because they have nothing to lose. They're just excited to be back in the conversation of being able to go to a bowl game, right?
Yeah.
And they're, like you said, they're young, so they can go out and play loose. They can play free. And that's big. And if the quarterback, and I'm going to lose his name, already lost his name, if he's real young, he's a freshman if I'm not mistaken, if they play the freshman, he'll just get out there and be loose and play and have fun. He's from Mississippi, so he's kind of a native going to play for State there, and I'm excited to see what he can do if he just with a little more week by week. He's had 2 weeks now. 3 weeks to sit back and really study the playbook, study his tendencies to get better.
Yeah.
And if he's done that, then we could see State kind of running away with this one.
So great games coming up. The SEC, I know we talked about that. Right now they're 2-2. Could in these next 6 games, if they could win all of them, even Vanderbilt, move this to 8-2, and then depending on, you'll have 8-3 with the Georgia, Ole Miss. One of them will lose. If Alabama can find some way to upset Indiana, you're looking at a 10-2 record going into the new year. In bowls, 10-3 record going into the New Year's for the bowls.
Who's the second loss in the playoffs? Or in the
well, you have Texas A&M,
yep.
And then you had Oklahoma.
Yeah, I forgot that's who Alabama played.
Alabama played, came back 17 points down. First team to win a college football playoff on the road. Followed very quickly the next day by Miami, who was able to do it at A&M. So history in the making. Now, another thing that you need to look at very closely that we're going to be focusing on next Wednesday night and Thursday, is the teams with a bye did not win last year.
Yeah, we need to look at that. I'll study that pretty good this next week and see.
So Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, who's that fourth one? Indiana. None of them last year who were in their position won. So it'll be very interesting.
I think all of them are favored this time right now.
Yes.
I know there's 2. Georgia and Indiana are both at 6.5. I assume Ohio State's probably close to that.
But we're going to get more of that Monday. I know me and Cody are off on Monday. I took off all week next week just to bring in the new year and to get ready for these games. So, guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're 30 minutes in, and if you're still watching this, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think, where we might be right or where even we might be wrong. But we appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. And as always, it is Saturday on Lotus Lane. Thank you.